Dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending this conference call for the first quarter of 2024. My name is Bernardo. I have here Andrea, and let's move on. So we had results of the first quarter pretty much on track to meet our full year financial targets, and our EBITDA was basically 0.3% below, and despite the production was 14% below. 42.5 billion was the gross profit for a quarter, and we had good results for the energy in this quarter. So aside to that, we have pretty much followed the deleveraging trajectory in the first quarter of 2024. If compared to the last quarter of 2023, we've actually closed this 6 times, and this quarter 5 times, if compared to the EBITDA. And the idea is basically to continue to follow that for the coming quarters, and this is at least our plan, right? And we continue to act in a very diligent and straightforward manner in enhancing the margin of the existing projects, not only in Brazil, but also in the US. We're gonna talk a little bit about that in our presentation. And also, as a highlight here, in last March, we have just completed the EDF in the Valley, and we started to operate and with the Ventos da Bahia, that is going to have a synergy with Açuruás. And so with regards to the results and the production, I mean, the El Niño was pretty strong, and so those natural phenomenon, they usually lead to generation increases, but the high temperatures on the South Atlantic have ended up generating a lot of rainfall in Açuruá, and that led the production in Açuruá specifically to be much lower than the expected, and with 14% decrease in the production for the expected portfolio of the quarter. We had, however, almost 2.5 million reais in results, what basically has offset an important part of this production gap because of natural conditions, and led us to have an EBITDA which was relatively close to what was expected for the quarter. And the year-on-year, we had 127 million growth, gross margins because of the increase in the asset base, and we had an increase if we compare it to the first quarter of 2024, if compared to the last quarter of 2023. And then the results, as I said, Açuruá 4 and 5, and we had an additional share of the Chuí liability, positive effect from this liability write-off, and that had a positive impact on our results. We continued to have or to be the most contracted player in Brazil by robust contracted cash flow, and it's pretty much inflated for the coming years, so it's pretty favorable in terms of the midterm prices, and quite reliable or quite confident on the results. Based on the good results that we had in the quarter, we have reached 235 million of net profit that was sourced by the portfolio. So in the coming years, we are probably going to deliver 255 million reais in cash value. Aside to those positions that are going to be consolidated throughout the years, and the position to price is very low because we do the operations in the back-to-back. In other words, we basically lock this long-term margin, and it is spent throughout the years. And aside to that, we have very positive expectations with regards to the retail section. We think that once we have all the GD assets operating, between 20-25 million reais of additional MASH might be captured by the energy platform every year, and that for the capacity that we are building now. Of course, we still intend to do a bigger GD capacity once our contracts with the new clients consolidate. Now, on the indebtedness, we are actually going to use this 35 times in the last quarter was 6 times, 5.4 if we consider the tax act from so the trajectory was still descending, and according to our business plan, we managed to complete the tax act with the LUNASAC. Is that right, Andrea? Yeah, it was in February the 2nd, right? The ventures 125 million last March, and we've disbursed another 44 million reals. So pretty much aligned with what our plan was, and we were swapping long-term to short-term debts and flattening the amortization and confirming basically our business plan. So we have been trying to focus our time in optimizing the existing asset margin and to trying to create additional profitability. And our team is very creative and pretty much bolder in working this out. Even in tougher markets, we have added more than $500 million in NPV in a short-term pipeline operating. And we keep on with ideas and good initiatives in the sense. The first of which that might be the more valuable one is to increase the net one margins when we have been witnessing rather high prices in the US for renewables. It's a growing demand for renewables. And since we still don't have long-term PPA there, we managed to then cause a potential improvement there that is going to increment these long-term projects. So this is what we are focused, and we are going to have a better commercialization strategy for the net one, and this is probably going to be very valuable. Aside to that, in Brazil, we are still prospecting clients in order to improve our margins, and with the highlight that we've just signed off an MOU a couple of days with that operation in Chuí in a more than 10-year contract. So we should have this operation signed off in the coming 3 months. So those would be very good, 2 tangible examples of the final phase of negotiation. But the idea is to keep on probing that, and with an expectation and with the team pretty much focused on putting those twice-fold in terms of value generation in the long run for the operational assets. As I said in our introduction, we have completed the investment case with the EDFR, and we are now just moving on with this project. Tiago Linhares and his team, and the mission is to look for synergies in Assuruá, and for the JV, we want to improve the commercial strategies, to improve the long term, and to guarantee operational productivity in this initiative. And for our GD program, from the installation and construction, we have been doing the civil part and the mechanical and the electric part in a pretty well-structured way, in a good rhythm. And in some projects, obviously, we have faced some delays in the infrastructure implementation from the distributors, and Bernardo, who's working in that front with the regulatory agencies and the distributors in order to address that, so that those punctual delays will not bear an impact on our generation plan. And on the client front, we have a very positive perspective. We've crossed this above plan in terms of number of clients and volume sold. And our perspective right now is to walk fast and whilst maintaining this GD commercialized via digital platform until half 25, when all the assets are going to be operating, generating energy for the new clients. Now, with regards to the 1 and 2 processes to bring the investor in order to try to launch phase 2, we are, midways of this process, and we should give you more solid news at the end of we're towards the mid of this year. And we have 3 alternatives at this point in time. One would be to do a partial sell of Moment One, and the possibility to bring the investor to the holding of Goodnight, and so that they are considered as a partner. And last but not least, we have just completed in last March the secondary follow-on. Yeah, so all together, with the sale of Tarpon, 55 new qualified investors and joined our shareholder base, and it's a very, very important investment of 4.5 billion. And what comes next? As of now, we have new investors, 55 new investors to be more accurate with you. And by way of that, we would like to welcome you. And obviously, to the ones who were already with us, we would like to reinforce our commitment to this very important moment of the company. Right, this is just a demonstration of our new portfolio after the removal of Pirapora and the implementation of VDB. And we have focused here on optimizing the existing businesses and the leveraging. We have been trying to follow that goal pretty steadily, and despite the low resources, we'll corroborate to that, and that possibility of bringing funding to the Goodnight is going to allow us to guarantee the cluster expansion, especially in view of the price conjuncture in the US. And we hope to do the distributed generation program to start in time, parallel to this advancement on the client front. And this is seen as extremely promising. All that summed up, we hope to reach the end of the year with a very positive result for the company. And now let me give the floor, or rather, let's just start with our outlook update. And as we discussed, right, Andrew, the perspectives we have today in terms of margin increase or cost management still keep us at the very heart of what we intended, for the year. And so the guidance center for the year's results.